everyone, and welcome back to the Playeasy Warmup, the podcast where we dive into the stories, people, and passion driving the sporting event and tourism industry forward. I'm your host, Kerri Shields. Today, we're taking you behind the scenes of a milestone moment for Playeasy, the very first Playeasy Innovators Summit. And joining me is someone who was instrumental in bringing this to life, Rachel Dailey, the Associate Director at Valley Forge Sports. Valley Forge was the incredible host destination for our inaugural summit, and Rachel was right in the middle of it all, from early planning calls to seeing it all come to life in real time. We had an incredible 3 days of learning, networking, and fun that went even better than we could have imagined. And I want to take a moment to thank the Valley Forge Sports and the Valley Forge Tourism team for believing in us and for playing such a key role in making this happen. A huge thank you as well to all of the members of Valley Forge who helped make this event even more special. And to every single person who joined us from across the country. We had over 30 states represented over the course of those 3 days, and we left just feeling incredibly humbled by your faith in us. And of course, to our Playeasy team, who put in so much work and continue to put their faith in this vision. This couldn't have been done without any of you. In this episode, Rachel and I will talk about what it takes to host an event like this, the moments that stood out the most, what we learned. There were a ton of lessons learned, and the impact it had not just on Playeasy, but on Valley Forge and the sports tourism community as a whole. Whether you're with us in Valley Forge or you're hearing about the summit for the first time, this is your all-access look at the collaboration, creativity, and community that made it happen. I hope you enjoy. Nothing brings people together like sports, and no place brings people together like the beach, Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. There, you'll find first-class facilities and an experienced planning team that will make sure your sporting or esports event goes off without a hitch. And when the games end, the real play begins. With 60 miles of endless activities and entertainment, it's a guaranteed win for all ages. That's why you can't beat the beach. Start planning at myrtlebeachsports.com. Rachel Dailey, welcome to the Playeasy Warmup podcast.
Thank you. Loving the hat, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. I know I had to represent Valley Forge for this episode. But to kick things off, could you give a quick intro and tell us a little bit about your role at Valley Forge Sports and maybe what your day-to-day looks like?
Sure, absolutely. Yeah. So I'm Rachel Dailey. I'm the Associate Director of Sports for Valley Forge Sports, which is under the umbrella of the Valley Forge Tourism and Convention Board. And we are the tourism promotion agency for Montgomery County, Pennsylvania, which is in southeastern Pennsylvania. For anyone who might not know, we're right outside Philadelphia. So for me, I've been with the tourism board. It'll be 6 years coming up here. I've worked for 3 different destinations, this being my third one. I've worked every market segment, with sports being the most recent one. So I've been doing sports for Valley Forge for roughly like 4.5 of the 6 years I've been here. And as far as day-to-day wise, every day is different, which is why I like the job, honestly. You never know what's going to hit you, you know? My primary job is to source new business for Montgomery County sports business, primarily. We have 3 people on our team here. Myself, the associate director, John is a director, and Vaughn is our sales associate. So the 3 of us are tasked with identifying new business to bring into the county. I also particularly am responsible for our sports marketing. I buy our ads and work with our creative team on our branding and things like that.
Awesome. And I know we'll dive deeper into this, but I am a local of Valley Forge, Pennsylvania. And so it's been such a great partnership and just learning more about the area that I spent most of my life in. And I know if you're local to the Philadelphia area, you've probably seen Valley Forge Sports and Valley Forge Tourism and their branding across. I know I was at the beach this weekend and it came up on the news, and I always get excited just about what an unbelievable job you guys do promoting the destination. And so before we dive into the summit, could you paint a picture of what makes Valley Forge such a destination for sports tourism?
Yeah, absolutely. And, to your point, it's you grew up here, right? I grew up nearby. I grew up in Bucks County, but becoming familiar with your own backyard as a destination is probably one of the coolest experiences I think you can have, like just looking at it through that lens of like someone visiting. And because I'm from southeastern Pennsylvania, it's special to me to promote the area, and really get to show and demonstrate to people just what a cool place it is to be. I think Valley Forge is special for sports and Montgomery County as a whole. Because as a side note, we do represent all of Montgomery County, Pennsylvania, but we do call ourselves Valley Forge because there's 18 other Montgomery counties in the United States. So we use Valley Forge as the brand because we have the national park here. Just always a good mention. But it's special for sports because not only are we pretty much a 4-season sports destination, just depending on what your sport is, what time of year. There's no time of year that's bad for sports. If it's cold, you move inside. If it's warm out, you move outside. So, or maybe inside. But we have not only great venues, but we have the infrastructure to support folks having a really well-rounded visit when they come here for their events. So you have not only just an easy access destination. We like to say we're within a day's drive of 1/3 of the U.S. population here, just outside Philadelphia. But we have, in our 480-ish roughly square mile area of Montgomery County, we have 9,000 hotel rooms to support you staying. You're not coming to a venue and then driving an hour to stay at your hotel. You're right there. You're within 10 to 15 minutes almost anywhere in the county of a hotel, and a good quality hotel as well. We have over 80 hotels, all major brands represented. We have over 1,600 restaurants here. So you're not eating every meal at like the McDonald's down the street. You're able to experience all different cuisines from around the world. You're able to feed off that foodie vibe that our area is known for, which is great. And then, we have activities for everyone. Not a lot of people know, but we have the Elmwood Park Zoo here, which is 100 years old this year. It's a 100-year-old zoo, and it's just constantly improving. It's a really great local zoo experience for people. It was the first autism certified zoo in the country. So it's just really cool. Like we have, indoor skydiving, and obviously the King of Prussia Mall, which is the largest retail mall in the United States, more stores, than any other mall. So there's just a lot going on, and we have a lot coming up too. Like we're always changing, we're always growing. So we have the Netflix house opening in King of Prussia this fall, and also in Italy coming into the mall. And like I said, our zoo is constantly expanding, and there's just always things going on.
And people love sports here, so it's a special destination. And I'm biased, but I can fully attest that all of the people we had come in from all over the country for the summit had an unbelievable time in Valley Forge. And so switching gears to the summit, I know this is something that we as a team at Playeasy had been thinking about for a few years, because our technology has evolved so much over the course of the last 7 years, and it's hard to really explain or communicate all that our technology does in one hour demo. And then obviously also being on the innovation side of things, it's really something that we always thought of as an idea. And it was last year when you brought it up to me, would you ever think about hosting in Valley Forge? And I was like, oh, this is something at the forefront of our minds right now. And so when we first came up with the idea, what were your initial thoughts, and what made you even want to host our event?
Yeah, I think, it's twofold, right? Number one, I know that our team here has been wanting to host a sports conference for a while, and we've been deliberating internally a lot over like, what does that look like? What kind of conference makes sense here? Because, for us and for our organization and our team, our biggest focus is on the experience for people, right? That's what makes us a great sports destination, and it's what makes it a good conference destination. And so we were really, really specific about what do we want to consider bringing here to make sure that it's not too large or, too cumbersome such that the experience would be compromised. And when we started, when you guys came out for the site visit, and, the more I got to know you all, and the platform, I was like, man, I wish they had a conference. That would be just a great fit. And we said it kind of in jest, and then it was like, oh, well, wait, you're really thinking about it. So that worked out. But I think it's, the second half of it is believing in the product, right? And also the people behind the product. So I think that because we had a good relationship developed with you guys, we kind of trusted that, we would be able to have a good partnership.
Yep. And I fully agree. That was a big piece of our decision making of just the incredible partnership that we've built over the years. And so, what were some of the key things that had to happen behind the scenes to bring this vision to life?
A lot of things. How much time do we have? No, no, I think for me here, it was, putting this together in a way to present to our executive team to say, hey, I need more money in the budget to do this. Here's why it's a good idea. We've never done this before, but here's why it's important. And I think it was that internal sale that really was critical to the process, like getting the buy-in from folks here in the office. But the more we got into it, and the more that we integrated Playeasy into our processes here on our team, like, with membership and our website and all the things, I think that they clearly were seeing the value of that over time. So after that initial set it up, I think it was, we were off and running, and they wanted it to be great just as much as we did.
Yes, and your team, obviously, we work closely with the sports side, but it really got us in deep with the whole tourism bureau as a whole, and they were unbelievable just in terms of making us really jump the gun on making this happen. And so, what were some of your favorite parts of the planning process, or maybe some of the biggest challenges?
I would say, I guess I hadn't had to exercise that muscle in a while of like detailed planning for a conference, right? Like, and when you guys, it's kind of funny now, but like when you guys really were like listening to me and taking my suggestions, like internally, I was like, oh crap, like they really think I know what I'm talking about. And it was like that imposter syndrome a little bit where it's like, no, I do know what I'm talking about. But when you start like putting it out there and people are buying into it, you're like, do I know what I'm talking about? For like a second. But no, I think it was just trying to remember everything and do right by you all, because, you were very forthright in saying up front, hey, we have never done anything like this. Like, we do not know. And, which is fine. It's good to go into it that way, knowing that we have to start at a granular level. Like, what's the difference between a classroom size table and a regular 6-foot size table? Like that kind of stuff, or like square footage of rooms or that kind of thing. Like, that's not a thing that I have to go back to all that often, but it was actually it was just a great exercise, I thought, in, what do I remember? How much do I remember? Like, what has changed since the last time I've had to do this? So I think it was a cool part of the process just for me personally, getting to really get into like the nitty gritty of planning. And then of course, like you said, our team is robust. So we do have, our events director who has, decades of experience, as well, doing trade shows and conferences and things like that. So we were able to lean on too for times, when neither of us was sure. So I thought, yeah.
Yeah, and I'll speak to some of the challenges, or maybe some of my favorite parts of the planning process. We really went in having no idea. We come from the event organizer side of things, but it was from the sports side. It was from the overall sports event space, and so
court rentals.
This I quickly realized was. I felt like I was planning a wedding, just the amount of details that went into everything from the table size to the timing to the food and menus and head count. I don't think I'll ever be late for a head count or an RSVP again, just because I know how much that impacts just the overall decision making. Yeah. And then the event experience from the day that people arrive until the time people leave. And I think that was something that was really important to us. We've been to so many conferences over the last 7 years that we pulled pieces of, what we really wanted and what was important to us, and then what maybe we could have learned from to incorporate within our first time. And not only just your team, but we hosted at Hotel Westin Main in Conshohocken, and the hotel, just the beauty of the hotel and how nice it was in an area that was extremely walkable was kind of a no-brainer for us. The team at the hotel was great to work with in terms of they knew that this was our first conference, not something that we've done before. And so really made it easy for us to know what we weren't thinking about going into those 3 days. And then, like I said, your team couldn't have been more helpful in making sure that we were represented in the way that we wanted to, and that we held strong to the things that were important to us. And that was making sure that everyone had the best 3 days and left wanting to come back to Valley Forge, while also being educated and feeling empowered from all of the conversations and demos and panels of all of the incredible people in that room. And so many lessons learned, but truly realized how important of a job that you guys do within the event space, because we really got to live it and see it, and you enhanced the overall experience for us going into our first conference. But so what were some of the biggest highlights and standout moments for you during the week?
I think for me, it just kind of when we first got the stage set up and it was like really happening, I was like, yeah, this looks great. Like I was jazzed. Like all of our ideas really came into play, and our team did well with our signage that we produced for you. So I felt like it really helped the overall feel. I thought that we really, as a team, nailed the vibe of like, this is a professional conference. Like you are coming in here, we know what's going on. Like, I don't think anybody came into it feeling like, what am I walking into? Whereas like I've been to events like that before where I go, what are we doing? So I didn't feel like that at all, which was like, yeah. And then, I think that I got a lot from the panels. I mean, I knew what to expect from the education a little bit because we'd had conversations about it, but like, obviously I don't know what somebody's going to share on a panel. I didn't know some of the new like features you guys are rolling out. So it was cool to have planned the conference, but then also be a participant of the conference at the same time, in a lot of ways. So, it was a very cool, like two-sided experience for me. And I think the vibe was good overall. Like, I really think that, the folks attending were all in. Like, these were people that already like love Playeasy or like were super interested in using it. And you could tell they really wanted to share and absorb. And I think that was palpable throughout the room. So I think people just came open, to sharing and getting new ideas. And I think that really added, I think the group that came added to the experience.
Yeah, I agree. I remember the first day we had our welcome party and seeing people come in and saying hello to people I see all the time and feeling this is so crazy that they're here for this conference. And obviously I was just so appreciative that people had trust in us that this was going to be a success. And I think some of my biggest highlights, definitely the panels. I mean, I thought we started off really strong in having Rick Hatcher and Ray Palmer speaking to what's happening in tourism in the state of Florida, and reiterating how this is a critical time that destinations have to be able to prove their worth, and how do we learn from each other to make sure that we are ahead of the curve for what's to come. And then, as you said, everyone that's there wanted to learn, wanted to be better, wanted to make their destination better, and wanted to innovate. And so I think it was clear just from standing on stage how engaged people were. And I think I've been to conferences where that hasn't been the case. And so that was a true highlight for me. And then Wednesday, having the event organizer focused day where we brought in event organizers of all types, had over 10 organizations pitch to a crowd of mostly destinations, and just being able to have that time to share more about their events, their brand, what they're looking for in host, and just awesome. Being able to make that connection, I thought we had no idea how that was going to go. But I thought that was a huge success as well.
For sure. Definitely a highlight for us, and something that we were proud to say, like, well, no other conference has ever done that.
Yep.
So.
Yeah. And another highlight, and as Playeasy is evolving, we are getting more into the community side of things. So how do we engage your overall community through our technology? And that's been something that we've been working with Valley Forge and your membership group for the past several months leading up to the conference. And so we had a few local businesses come in and sit on a panel. And so I think one, being able to have a buy-in from someone like Fogo de Chao, who could speak to why this is important to their business, why being a part of a membership-based organization is important for growing that experience, and how they want to get in front of these sports and events attendees. What kind of impact do you think hosting an event like this had on the Valley Forge brand and the local community?
I mean, I think, again, it's a twofold thing, right? We put a lot of investment into sponsoring events on the road, right? Almost every conference, we have some kind of sponsored event. And the reason we do that is because we want folks to have a good time and associate like having a good time with like being in Valley Forge, right? That's what we're trying to do. So having the opportunity to actually have folks here and say, this is what we are talking about. This is why we try to do this all the time. So, and really share what we love about our area with people. But I think for as far as like engaging the community, it shows them that, just being involved in this industry has an impact, right? Like just being involved in the software brought 80 some people to the hotel and into the restaurants in that immediate area, and actually overflowed into another hotel, and, resulted in shopping and dining and all these things on like a, on a small scale. It's good impact, but it's a small scale. And then so to understand then that through this software, through this platform, we can bring in events of a much larger magnitude, or many smaller events that can spread this impact around the county. Like, I think demonstrating it through practice is the best way to get people involved. And I think having folks on the panel like Leanna from Fogo, who is engaged, but truly, didn't really understand what we were doing at Playeasy till a few months before the conference, when we had a chance to talk on the phone, and then she was all in because she got it. So it's trying to like spread that word in our community, and just show them what the engagement can do.
Yeah. And that was something that we were really able to learn from this experience, was how, one, what a good job you guys do of engaging your membership-based model. But something we did learn from the conference was how many destinations are not currently membership-based, but are trying to grow that community activation. But for everything that we did, we used a member of yours. Everything from printing to
Yes.
our transportation. Shout out Aces Limo. They were awesome to work with. From all of our banners and posters, the restaurants we used for our after party. We had a great event at the King of Prussia Mall where people were welcomed with welcome bags. And these were all things we would have had no idea where to go, who to contact, who is a trusted resource and who may not be.
And so, hours of Googling.
hours of Googling. And it really brought everything that we've been trying to build to life, and connecting all the pieces of the puzzle that happen to make, these event experiences possible. And so could you comment on just the importance of that and how we were able to make it as successful as it was?
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned about supporting all the members. I made a presentation, our team here post-event, and said, here's this list of people we supported with just this conference, right? And it's an impressive list because there's so much that goes into every event. And I think, the biggest thing that makes me sad is that there's so many organizers and so many meeting planners and so many people that have no idea that we do that. No idea what we are, no idea why we're here, no idea the benefit that could be received from them and their organization through working with us. And that's just what we do tirelessly all the time, is like try to get people to understand what we are and why we're here. And I think the hardest thing for people to understand about why we do what we do, right? They're like, well, what's in it for you? Why are you giving me everything for free? Like, why did we not charge you for me to like work 20 hours in your event, right? It's because we, the benefit for us is the benefit to the community, right? When our community benefits and we bring people to stay in hotel rooms, and we bring people to shop in our mom and pop shops and our main streets and support our mall and support our park, like that's the win for us. that's why we exist, for the benefit of the community. And so I think that it's important for people to know that we exist and do this job, and that's the value.
Totally. Yes, and it is our job at Playeasy to continue to bring that awareness to what you do, and now being able to speak directly to it is going to be even more impactful for us as an organization. So I did want to comment on a few things that I thought stood out in terms of things that were important to us to enhance the event experience. One being, you're very passionate about having a welcome bag for everyone that came to the conference. The King of Prussia Mall event, that was something historically at most conferences, after a full day of education and panels and all things learning, there's usually an event at a restaurant or a bar, and we decided to do something different by giving everyone gift cards to be able to explore the King of Prussia Mall on their own. So just being a little bit more flexible in terms of people's time, while also being able to experience the city. And then having an ending with the Phillies game. So we all went into the city, made it easy for people to get there, to connect. That was really important to us. We wanted to make sure that no one ever felt left out and that they were a part of the community that we are building. And we wanted to have every off time as an opportunity to network. And so could you touch on some of those pieces?
Yeah, I mean, I think, one of the things that, circling back to the kind of the first question, it's like what stood out as far as the planning process and stuff. It was that dedication to flexibility and like taking suggestions and just taking ideas and not immediately going, well, that's not what we've done before, right? Because there was no precedent. You had nothing, no precedent. So it was like we could suggest things and it wasn't immediately like, well, that's not how it goes. Because I think that was some of our hesitation on bidding on some other conferences that are more established, is like they kind of have this like recipe of what goes into the event, and we would sit there and look at the RFP and go, well, like we'd really love to work this in, but it doesn't seem like it'll go with the schedule. And and I think that was part of the exciting part of this is was just being able to kind of say, well, what would we normally do? Do we like it? Do we think we could just chuck it out the window and do something else? Like, I think the idea of, because we looked, right? Like you and I went out and we talked to the restaurants and we talked to the places and we said, what does it look like if we do a group dinner? What does it look like? And then eventually, you were like, well, what if we just give people a gift card to the mall and let them go shopping for 2 hours? I was like, yes, yeah, so good. And I because no one's ever even, I'm going to suggest that to people. And I think our meetings team will suggest that to people and go, you don't need to program every second. You just need to provide the opportunity for people to experience things. So, yeah.
And I think another important thing was keeping everyone fed, hydrated, and coffee always available. That was very important to us. And so what are some of the biggest learning? I know we just had a call to go through some of the biggest takeaways and what we learned that we could implement for our next conference. And so I'll let you go first, and then I'll speak on what that we learned as a whole.
Yeah, I think overall, I definitely think we, for us here in Valley Forge, like we definitely learned like what the maximum size event is that we can do, at that property, which is a good thing to know, because I think they did great with the event. I thought working with the Hotel West of Maine, like you said, they really embraced the group and like the goals and worked with you guys and worked with us. And so that made us feel good. It's like one of those experiences where you can confidently say, well, I've done this there. I know that they could do it. So it's just a nice process. The same thing with like all the other restaurants, like, with Southern Cross and working with the mall and, just having those relationships in the community. For us, it demonstrated the value back to us, which is something that, like, as far as our team, because we mostly host sporting sponsored events off site, right? We're mostly doing our events in other cities. So for us to do an event in our own city and say, hey, yeah, like our community relationships are really working, like it's a win. So that was a learning that we had that I don't even think I really shared on the call with you guys, but it was just something I was thinking about after that. And then, I think as far as our reflections for your conference was, from your side of things, was just, paying attention to flow and timing and things like that. Whereas, you can't really know how that's going to go until you know it. It's kind of like becoming a parent. It's like you can read all the baby books you want, but until you're physically doing it, you don't know how that's going to work, how that's going to feel, how that's going to flow. So before we go on, I would love to ask you some questions too, because, for us, obviously, we want the feedback as well. So, I think first because you said you were going to provide some conference feedback, so let's do that. But then I also want to know, when you guys decided to ask us, like, what was that turning point for you? When were you like, we want to work with Valley Forge on this?
Yes. So, like I said, it was something that we had been thinking about doing for a long time, and we thought it was really important for us. But like most things within our company, we are a small but mighty team. And so taking on a whole new project, we knew would be a big time commitment. And we had no idea how it would go, if people would want to come. I kept saying, I feel like I'm throwing a party and I have no idea if anyone's going to come. And so I think the more conversations we started to float out about the idea of having a conference, people were super excited about it. And there was nothing but positive energy and feedback when the idea was brought up. And it was even, many cities asked if it was something that we'd been thinking about or wanted to host. And so we just knew we had to take a leap of faith. And when we decided this is something we need to do, and there's no better time than now for the need to innovate within this industry. And so when that happened, it was right around the time that you had brought up the idea of hosting a conference. And I am a local, I grew up in Delaware County, which is right next to Montgomery County, and Valley Forge. I went to high school in Valley Forge. My family's still very involved in the sports world, in and around the area. Two of my teammates at Playeasy, Ryan and Sarah, are also local in the Philadelphia area. And so we knew just from an event experience side of things that Valley Forge is an unbelievable place to go. It's easy to get to from the airport. There's no shortage of things to do when it comes to attractions. I'm biased, but I think Philly and the Philadelphia area has some of the best food that you could provide. And there's so much that, we wanted to show off about Valley Forge. And then we've had a partnership with you guys for a few years now, and we know the event experience that you provide for every event that you guys have. And it was something we trust you, we trusted your team. We knew just from the leading into conversations that you were extremely passionate about making this a success. And you're very forthright in communicating that you would be there to hold our hand in every step of the process.
I remember that conversation.
Yes, because that was something that's very important to me. If you know, Sean and I's relationship, Sean is a visionary and is constantly thinking about, we have to dive in. And I am a bit more detail oriented and more in the day to day. And so I think we knew it was something we needed to do, but we knew we needed a partner that would go above and beyond to help make sure that this was a success. And I knew that we trusted your team in doing so, because we've seen it done with other event organizers. We've seen it done just from working with your community members and how bought in that they are to you guys and your organization. And so it was kind of a no-brainer for our first one. This is a very long testimonial for Valley Forge, but I do.
We're recording this, right? Can we just clip it?
Yes, you're free to use this. But I think it was important to us, the partnership, and we hear it all the time in our industry from event organizers and from the destination side. Like, the relationship has to be there before anything can be a success, and this was just living proof that is the case. And so having your trust in us to make sure that we would do everything we can on our side we were easy to work with in ways of we wanted all of the feedback, we wanted all of the ideas, and we wanted you guys to be as involved from everything from the planning process to the actual, event logistics to the ideas around anything outside of the content. So I thought it was awesome. I mentioned the food, the attractions, the closeness to Philly. The Phillies game I thought was such a great way to end. I think we expected about 30 people to come, and we had close to 60 people come to the game, and that was something that I think is unique to the Philadelphia area, that you can see all of the professional sports stadiums within a few block radius, and we all went to Xfinity Live, and everyone had a good time. So
Philly
it was
on full display
it was,
for everyone.
It was on full display in all of the ways. And so that was a very long-winded answer in saying just the established relationship that we had and knowing that it would be a success with you guys as partners. So
yeah, thank you. Thanks for that. And I think I felt like it would make sense from the minute we had the site tour with you guys, right? Like you and Ryan and Sarah, because you're Kerri, you and Ryan and Sarah came out, and we just kind of went around and showed you guys everything. And the more you guys were as enthusiastic about our area as we were, and you're from here. And we just thought to ourselves, man, that would be so great if they wanted to host something. And so I know we had jokingly brought it up at lunch that day. And then a couple weeks later you called us and you're like, so actually, and so highlight the importance of site tours, because I think sometimes that also plays into being able to physically visualize something in the area it's going to happen. Just like all the visits we did with the hotel and the walkthroughs and this is going to go here, this is going to go here, helps you kind of bring the whole vision to life. So I would say, so do you want to give us then feedback on, on the conference? Do you want to share your feedback of everything?
I mean, I couldn't speak more highly of you, your team, your membership base, and just how easy you guys made it for us. I would say a lot of the feedback is on our end of knowing the questions that we need to ask, how timely we need to be. I know we were working with your marketing team in terms of making sure that our brand was represented in a way that we wanted to, as well as the Valley Forge Tourism, Valley Forge Sports branding. I mean, we learned so much as an organization. I'm excited to implement for our next conference, but things like what questions to ask. The first site visit, I just had no idea about how we communicate timing of things. So that was something we did not do, was when is the earliest people can register? Is someone going to be located there at all times? You had your interns there as well, which was super helpful, and getting us set up, making sure the stage was set, the cleanup, because once the conference was done, I think we all needed to have a little break and realize, well, where's everything going? And your interns were right there to help us make sure we were breaking everything down.
On site, ready to go.
Yeah, so most of my, honestly, I don't have any negative feedback in terms of the overall event. I think you guys provided feedback in terms of our sessions. And so we are a tech company. And so it's very easy to get deep in the weeds when it comes to demoing and sharing everything from our RFPs to our digital marketing to our data and our analytics. And so being able to separate that, how much information we're throwing at people, so that it's easier to retain within different parts of the day, I think was really important. I personally loved the panels. I hosted, I think, 6 panels over the course of 2 days. And I thought everyone that we asked to do the panels were open and excited to be a part of it. We've already gotten feedback that people have learned from best practices of other destinations using, how they're engaging their community. Some that don't have membership-based models, and so that's something that they're looking to build, and how they're using Playeasy to make that more easy, efficient. And so I thought it was awesome just to see how people were learning, not just from the Playeasy team, but from each other. And that's something that we really want to continue to communicate, not just at our next conference, but how do we do that in the meantime? How do we have more podcasts or videos around sharing the stories of, your membership-based model and why it's important to people like Fogo de Chao, so that not just Valley Forge could learn, but also, York County, South Carolina. And so I thought that was one of my favorite parts about it. And that was also from your feedback of what you've liked from other conferences.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I think the panels were super valuable. I appreciated the mix in of other people's real world experience with the tech updates of the platform and how it's going to support that. Like, I thought that was a really great way to kind of like juxtapose like what was happening, right? It's like, here's a problem, right? We need to demonstrate value. How do we do it? Well, Playeasy helps us demonstrate value, and here's why. Like almost like a sales, but not really, because we're using it so it's functional. But what I'll say too is, and that I think something that you guys have done really well, that I think I think is really what was the basis of our partnership from the get-go, is that you guys take this very personally, and we also take this very personally, right? I think there's a lot of jobs out there that people, they don't take it personally, right? It's transactional. Like, you order something from Amazon and you pay them and then they drop it off, and like, there's nothing there. There's nothing there. When someone's bringing an event that they care about into my area, I care about it succeeding just as much as they do, right? Like, as soon as this event, you were like, we want to bring this to you, I was like, this must succeed. Like, this is I need this. Like, so it's, and I think that's true of all of our events to an extent, right? Like, I think everything that we do, we care about. And I know that everything that you guys do, you care about. It's very apparent. And I think that's why you had a lot of support for this conference, because you have built your relationships, as you said, with all the destinations you work with. I mean, I have said many times, I think that, Sarah's diligence in following up with me a bunch of times at the beginning, in the early days, to say, hey, I saw Valley Forge had this news. Can I put on your feed? And I was blown away by that. Like, no one had ever done that, where they were like proactively trying to like help me make my job easier with promoting the destination. And it went such a long way. And then the more I learned about you guys, and the more I learned about, each of your roles. And I was shocked when I first learned how small your company was. Like, you're like, we have, this many employees. I was like, what? Because I was for sure expecting like 50 or like 75 like departments and things, and you're like, well, it's like 10 people. I was like, and it just made me respect you guys all the more because of the absolute like professionalism of this site, and how it works for us, and how you're constantly trying to help it work better for destinations. There's not a lot of companies out there that are trying to help destinations. They're just not, right? Like, most people's clients are either the event organizer or the attendee at the end of the day, right? Because it's like they're booking hotels, or, our members, we're not the client of our members, right? It's the people coming into the tournament to be in the area. That's the client of our members. So, or when we attend any other conference, right? We're the client to an extent, but really it's about the event organizers. So to have a product and to have a team behind that product that really is trying to understand what we're doing, what our challenges are, and fix that, that is the basis of everything with what, the energy we put behind this. And, and just think, it's going to benefit Valley Forge. Definitely. It already does. Like, I get leads, and I get, I can perform my job functions using Playeasy, which is great. But I think it just goes beyond that. And it was especially important to me to host this conference, and to make it something that everyone else could experience too, from a destination side, because, it's going to be a game changer. It already is. So
thank you. That, it means a lot. This whole experience has been very humbling. And so just to hear you say all of that it means a lot. And I'll speak on behalf of our team, just how much work went into it. But we really, I think that was one of the best pieces of feedback we got, that it was clear how much we care. And like we are a tech company. We are going to continue to innovate and build on the platform that we have today. But we really do care and wake up every morning thinking, how do we continue to build solutions for destinations to prove their worth and to connect this whole entire industry? And it was important for us to not communicate like our growth or making it about us. I think we really wanted to make everyone there feel like it was for you. And we are here to, yes, give you updates on what's happening and what's to come and our vision for our platform, but also how can we continue to learn and listen to you guys so we can continue to build solutions for the destination. And so I really appreciate that feedback. And I know we sometimes...
I have it on recording, so...
Yes. I joked about this on stage, but if anyone's seen the proposal and the waiter who wears many different hats, I often think of that for our team. We are definitely small but mighty, and everyone was all hands on deck to make this a success. So we are going to be hosting another conference, where to be determined, but for a destination who's looking to host our next event, what is a piece of advice that you would give?
I think it's just be open to creativity and thinking outside the box. Like, I think that like the flexibility that you guys had with us was a highlight. And I think destinations that have a lot of cool things to show off, like, you can do it in this format because of your guys' willingness to like just see how it's going to work, So I think that that's a plus to hosting. I definitely think it's going to grow, I mean, it'd be crazy if it didn't. So, I definitely think a larger hotel would probably be good. And to that, I'll say, call me.
Yeah.
Any destination, please call me. We'll talk it through. Because it's just way too much to try to like wrap it up into not in a bad way. Like, it's a lot of good things, but, I guess I would say the advice would be like, if you feel like Playeasy is a benefit to you and you want to have a fun conference in your destination, like, this is the one for you.
Thank you. So, we will be using that in our RFP.
That's really excellent pitch for your conference.
Well, so as we look ahead, what are you most looking forward to this year with Valley Forge, now that we are post-conference?
Well, I mean, we're getting ready for the fall show season, so that's obviously top of mind for external things. But internally, like, for as far as stuff happening in the area, I mean, we have USA BMX coming in this weekend, the 8th, 9th, and 10th. But that's exciting for us. We love having them in the area. Labor Day weekend is huge. We actually managed to fill it with sports for the first time since like 2019. So we're not a beach destination. I almost said shore, which like people local will know what I meant, but we're not a beach destination. Yeah. So the long holiday weekends are not generally popular here, right? Like 4th of July weekend, Memorial Day, Labor Day, crickets, right? So we fill it with sports. So Labor Day, we were able to fill with sports, both indoor and outdoor. So that's exciting. We have a brand new international soccer tournament coming in called the Philadelphia International Cup. So we're really excited about that, especially with, the energy we've been putting into international lately and trying to put Valley Forge and Montgomery County on the international map for sports, being that we are peripheral to a World Cup city in Philadelphia. So, and I kind of briefly mentioned that we have exciting things coming into our area, which is Netflix House, Italy for the mall, the park, Valley Forge National Historical Park is doing all kind of infrastructure updates in preparation for America's 250th birthday next year in 2026. So there's just a lot coming, and that's what we're looking forward to. It's like you're just holding on and just in it. Like, we're on the ride now. We can't get off. We're doing it.
I feel that. That's great. Well, Rachel, I've said thank you a ton of times, but I really can't thank you enough for your trust in us to make our first summit a huge success. It would not have been possible without you and your belief in us. And I'm so excited to continue working with you guys in even a larger perspective. So thank you to you and your team. And please use these testimonials because I can't speak highly enough of all that you guys do. So thank you.
Likewise.
Yes.
Thank you. And thank you for the trust you placed in us as well. I mean, we were absolutely proud, our team, our organization, absolutely proud to be the inaugural host of the Playeasy Innovators Summit. And we can't wait to see how it grows and hopefully welcome you guys back sometime.
Awesome. Well, Rachel, thanks so much for being here. Until next time, everyone. Thank you.